hatred that Fireball had was something that stuck with her all these years.
She still hates the fucking thing, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah, she gets fired up to talk about it, not to make a pun.
Okay, I'm going to give that fucking Fireball one good bonk, okay?
All right.
Just from the caveman, he showed me how to bonk. So, that's it. Fireball, you bastard, you're going to get a bonk. That's it. Maybe one more. Okay, I gave him 2 bonks.
Nice.
Fuck that. That damn thing's scary, man. I don't want that thing in my house. I don't want it there.
I need evil Fireball insurance because I'm nervous now.
Yeah. You know, the only thing it didn't do, you know, you see it go through the wall, go through windows, and there's no fucking glass crash or nothing. It just goes right through the wall silently, a little bit of rumbling, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, as my sister, like I said, it went through the door to my bedroom.
How big was it? How big was it, did she say? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was basically the size of the door. That's part of why I asked those questions. I wanted to see how your stories compared to what she
mine
said.
Was a little bigger than the door.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
so, like, I would say about 2 feet taller than the door. So it went pretty much right up to the ceiling through the hallway.
Yeah, so it was bigger. The one that she described filled the hallway going from the upstairs to the downstairs.
Well, that's exactly it. It filled the hallway. The only thing is, it kind of just kept its distance slightly away from me and my mother. It didn't touch us. It almost brushed up against us, but it did not touch us.
It makes me think that there must be multiple variations that all come from the same place, because it would make sense that in different stages of life, the 3 different stories we have are connected yet different. So maybe it's a mature Fireball versus a young one, and what my sister went up against was a mature one that had a plan, and that's why it was able to communicate. But pure evil definitely is what she felt from it. Like
that's what I felt too. Pure evil.
Yeah. And I actually had an experience with pure evil before, but it's different. It wasn't a Fireball, and it was weird, and it just totally blew me away. I basically felt. I was asleep. I lived in an apartment on the 2nd floor of it, and I had this dream where I saw basically a cloud of evil floating, and it was going to each door of the apartment complex, and it didn't go in any door, but it stopped and looked at them, and then it got to our door, to where I lived from my apartment, and it went inside. And so it was searching through the rooms looking for somebody. And it was just pure evil. That's all I knew in that moment. I could feel the evilness of it, that you did not want this thing to come in contact with you. And right before it got to the hallway to my room in the dream, I woke up. I jumped up. And somehow I knew that was going to happen soon, that it hadn't happened yet.
Okay, buddy. Do you want to plug anything? We got 2 minutes left.
Yeah, go to Dean and King Show. That's deanandkingshow.com, and you can check out my football podcast I have there. And you can also see some of the other things I do with the Bell Files and Why So Technical, or several podcasts that I host. I'd love to have people check those out and give us a listen and interact with us.
And remember,
at the Mud King on Twitter.
Right on. Mud King is the man. And thank you so much for coming on and doing this interview with us. It was amazing, man. I want to flush down those evil spirits now. That's it. They're getting a flushing. I'm doing the sound effects, okay? That's it. You're flushing twice. And that's it. We're doing a song, and we are out of here, man. Thank you for coming on and listening to the Monster Castle Paranormal, the extreme paranormal. Yeah. Definitely have the Mud King on again, everyone. Thanks for listening.
seen anything strange, Willie, when you've been out to sea in Alaska?
Love not chilling. He's gonna have
Pictures. Yeah, it's not so much creatures. I called into Steve Warner's Dark City that one time about some freaking ass damn orbs or whatever the hell that people always call in the Davenport about, because I do commercial fishing out here. Wow. So that's about all I've seen. I can't say it was a damn UFO, but it was a weird ass orbs or whatever. I did see some one time under the water that swam underneath the boat that was flat ass white, shaped like a dang halibut, but man, if it was a freaking halibut, it would have been a record breaker. I mean, it was, I don't know, maybe 10 feet wide, something like that. I don't know what it was. Could have been a whale. I don't know. But that's about all I've seen out there. I haven't seen the stuff you've seen there, buddy. I know that much.
So what about lights in the sky? Anything?
And it was just like the lights up, because you always see stuff when you're out there in the middle of the damn ocean, and there's, you see all the stars and everything else, but you see this little, basically what it was, Wolfman, is, if I remember right, it was like a little tiny orb, a couple of them, maybe 3 or something. They went up, and that's what made me think it was a flare. And anyway, they go up in the air, and they kind of like, I'm trying to remember exactly what they did, but they went up, and then it was kind of stationary. It joined into one, and then they kind of fell out into a couple other, and then they just kind of hung around, kind of made like a circle type deal, and they kind of went back into each other. And they hung around there for a while, and then all of a sudden this damn thing just shot off. So it obviously wasn't a flare. I don't know what it was. That's the best thing I've seen. And like I was telling Bateman there, ever since that, man, I kept a damn video camera with me on the boat, whatever. Unfortunately, I have not seen something like that, again, but it was pretty weird, man. And basically, I saw a couple of things shoot up out.
We're out in Illinois, and so these lights kind of came up straight up in the air, and they kind of joined, and they just kind of stayed right there, and then it just kind of like, I don't know, it turned into one light or whatever, and it hovered there, and then broke off into 5 or 6 different things, and just kind of made like a circle type deal. They came back together, and then after about a minute or whatever, it just kind of shot off.
And I can't say, I can't say what it was, man, but I've seen satellites, I've seen flares, but it was just some weird deal. And like I was telling you earlier, man, ever since then, whenever I go out, I got a video camera with me now, so I can hopefully record that. And unfortunately, I've not been able to witness the same thing.
I've seen a lot of things that branch off into 3 or 4 or whatever objects from one and then come back together. So that's really, it actually makes me feel better that you said that, because I've seen that myself. When I was a kid, the first sighting I had was an object that was just kind of rising from the earth, and then it split off into 3 parts, and it kind of went up and disappeared, and like, what the hell was that? And there was a whole bunch of kids in the neighborhood. We all saw it.
First, it looked like a flares, and the way it just hovered there, and then spread apart, and then kind of came back together, whatever. It wasn't satellites. It wasn't a flare. I don't know. I don't know what it was. And I'm bummed that, like I was telling Bateman there, I didn't have any witnesses with me and stuff, just me and my damn dog. But, I'm 40 miles from the nearest town, and I got radar and stuff, and there was There's obviously no boat, because my first inclination was, hell, man, somebody's sinking or whatever. But it wasn't like that. It took about 20 seconds to realize this wasn't flares that shot up, because they don't just sit there, and they don't just kind of join together and then just dance around and do their own thing and then shoot up. So I don't know. But and I was telling baby, man, ticks my ass off, man. You get all these people calling in about these damn orbs and all that bull crap, which I don't have a lot of faith in. But I guess my best UFO thing would say, it was damn orbs, which kind of sucks. I didn't see a vehicle like that. Like I said, I mean, it was pitch dark when it happened, but it is what it is.
I hate those fucking orbs. Those fucking orbs, eh?
Yeah, freaking orbs are overrated.
Yeah, orbs are overrated, I think.
What do you guys think? Darren, what do you think? Are they overrated?
Not really, orbs.
Oh my god, that sounded sexual.
I didn't mean to. It's a great story.
Echo. If people are going to claim the Phoenix Lights were the most, dramatic UFO sighting of all time and stuff, but if you go on the internet or anything else, you basically see the same.
Oh, he cut out.
Same freaking, half-second video or shady photographs. I don't think that they can say a dramatic sighting.
There's not many people that call it. There's not a preponderance of evidence. Now, I've always had a problem with that.
Marcus, what do you think of that?
Well, you gotta be clear that there's two sightings associated with the Phoenix Lights.
If I can just add, I appreciate what you're saying, but I just don't see where, if this is the most dramatic sighting in history, I don't see any hard evidence. It's a 5-second video and a couple of photographs. And granted, the governor talked about, seeing this and that, but my gosh, if that many people saw it, there would be clear photographs, clear video. And I just haven't seen that. I keep hearing, anecdotes from, witnesses or whatever, but I would think there'd be a lot more evidence. Just my 2 cents.
That's a good point. I mean, but it is hard to take pictures at night, in total darkness of the stars. Even you need a good camera. You need it on a tripod. And anyway, I don't think it's extraterrestrial necessarily. I think it's some sort of military aircraft. But
that triangle thing, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But then again, too, it's been spotted all over the globe, right? And but it seems to be like, I agree. It's low to the ground, and nobody's ever seen it shoot up into space. That I've been, anyone has seen that triangle thing, it's always low to the ground, silent, and nobody's said that it went shooting up into space that I've heard of yet. Has anyone ever heard of that?
I've seen these videos of the TR-3B, and it also moves very slow. And yeah, it's true. It doesn't move fast. It doesn't shoot up into space. I mean, there's write-ups on it in some pretty prominent magazines, even on CNN, about the TR-3B. And they claim that it has all this technology and does all these things, but the only videos I've seen are just more of a slow-moving, almost like an airship type thing.
Willie.
Hey, Wolfman.
All right, can you dig it? Let's hear some more rock and roll, man. The Blueheads. Tune, let's groove it. Yeah, alright.
Yeah, man, all this tune are black like a tar. Many people would have wondered, so I wonder if I'm prejudiced, you know. But no, sir, not go, sir. It does tell us right now, whoever you is just who you is. If you're African, you're African. Yeah, they say that.
The views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily those of the network or anyone affiliated. There will be mature and possibly immature content. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. As a matter of fact, I probably wouldn't listen at all. It's very poorly produced. Take me to your leader.
Welcome to the Monster Castle Radio Show. For the extreme paranormal listener. And here is your host, the Wolfman, Mike.
This is where the real freaks hang out, alright, yeah.
Sidewalk all around you. If the tree is scaring you, in the air is fear. I think the Halloween is here. On the drum, Halloween has young. Your face is sickly green. Dress up for Halloween.
All right, how you doing this afternoon? We're here
with a special guest coming on. I hope you guys are ready for this. Darren, are you there?
I am here.
Right on, brother. I don't think we have any news ready again, do we?
I don't think so.
Now, I have not been... I just haven't been able to keep up with everything. I just woke up and then had to get this ready to go on. And then we had a power outage last night, and it messed up the settings on my computer, so I had no sound. So I had to shut down and then figure out why.
Yeah, the show's better when you can hear it.
Yeah. That's what I figured. If you can't hear it, it's not really worth doing it. I could have kept doing it, and no one would have heard it, but I would have heard it. Okay, let's introduce
it. Might have been better.
Yeah. All right. I think we have a hybrid girl waiting in the castle. She wants to come in. Elizabeth April, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thanks for having me.
All right. And yeah, we're really happy to have you here.
Have you back.
Yeah. And what's been happening with you lately? I heard that you've been going to some, doing some presentations, and you were on Dave Scott's show.
Yeah, I was. So that was a lot of fun, and I got to meet Dave Scott, which was good, and everyone who listens to his show. And there were some pretty intense questions as well. So it was a lot of fun answering those questions and really getting into a little bit more about the universe and what the hell's going on here at this time.
I didn't even get to listen to that whole show. What was the heavy-duty question?
Oh, just questions about pretty much the awakening and this universe and, what's going on at this time. It just seemed like there was a lot of, it was surprising how advanced people were who listen in, and like how advanced their questions were as far as like just where their level of understanding of this awakening is at. And it always excites me to answer those questions, because that's what I'm really here for, right? Is more kind of cosmic alien disclosure and just kind of expansion questions. So
yeah, this guy's he has a lot of people from Australia that actually listen to that show.
Yeah, and a lot from the States as well, which is pretty cool. A lot of my viewership is from the States.
He's in Canada, right? Northern Canada?
Yep, in BC.
Maybe for people that haven't heard you before, you could just tell us a little about yourself and why you're on our show.
Absolutely. So I'm only 24, so I'm still pretty young in this life, this form. And that being said, like I'm quite an old soul. So in this lifetime, I was born with special abilities, if you could call them that, but more so insights. I was able to see auras and energies, chakras, spirits, ghosts, and spirit guides, as well as interdimensional beings, pretty much from the age I was, 2 years old, and I can actually communicate those things to the present day. Now, it was definitely, a big struggle being confined within this society, especially being raised Catholic, to really understand like who I am, what I'm doing here, and what my purpose was in having these abilities. So when I really started to open up myself, I was about 16 years old when I started really questioning things. It just seemed like this reality, high school, my friends, even my family, it just wasn't enough for me. I started to question the system, the government, the education system. I started to question religion. I started to question the people around me, and especially I started to question myself. Who was I really, and what was I doing here at this time? It just seemed like life had such a bigger purpose, such a bigger meaning, and no one was talking about it. And so I felt like a crazy person for quite a long time until I got my first ever past life regression. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's simply put taking someone into a trance-like state where they are able to go back and really fully experience and re-experience where they have been before. And at 16, I went into these past lifetimes and I started to re-experience myself as, many different things: oracles, prophets, philosophers, healers, yogis. And, it was surprising to me because in every one of these past lifetimes, I was in a position to gain access to information and essentially in a position to give that information to as many people as possible. And that's when I really started to wake up to the understanding of who I am here in this lifetime and what my purpose was. And that's when I started to really take other people into their past lifetimes so that they could wake up and understand that there's so much more than just who they are in this present moment. But beyond that, at the age of 18, when I finally got out of my house and moved away, I started to have a lot of interdimensional experiences. And the biggest kickoff was actually being abducted at the age of 18. And we can talk definitely more about this depending on what your listeners are interested in. But that's when I started to really open up and understand, first of all, yes, aliens are out there, they're real, and they're here. And then the second thing is that I'm actually one of them. So I started to wake up to the fact that I was coexisting as one of these interdimensional beings, which makes me, in my opinion, my definition, a hybrid. So in that way, I am currently coexisting as who you see me as, even though you can't really see me, as this 24-year-old female. But I'm also coexisting as this 7.5, 8 foot tall gray being, which is actually a male. So in that way, I'm able to access a lot of information specifically pertaining to the awakening of this planet and the awakening of humanity and humans in general, to really just understand, the truth. And I think in a society as we see it here today with someone like Trump as president, we can really start to get lost in the illusion of all of the other realities that are being thrown around, right? Reality is just an illusion. And through all of that illusion, we really need to clarify what exactly the truth is. Now, although, that's it's a loaded term, the truth. But what I like to say is that regardless if you think of, what I channel or what I know to be true as the truth, it all depends on what resonates with you. And I don't have information, if not all, I don't have all of the information, and I'm definitely not here for everyone, but, you can ask yourself and discern for yourself if you resonate with someone like me and what I have to offer or not. Which is the most beautiful thing. Each and every one of us have our own free wills to discern what is right for us. And that's kind of just what I wanted to put out there, and just a little overview of who I am and why I'm here and what I'm doing on a radio show, and what I want to be talking about, right, is just how to wake people up to the truth of what the hell's going on. So.
Oh yeah.
When did you start with the past life regression? How old were you?
So I want to say I was about 17. Now, of course, I started with friends and family, and eventually I got into doing that as a living before I got into my straight psychic channeling. So I did past life regressions for a very long time, I want to say until I was about 20. And then at around 20 years old, I started to transfer over into straight channeling. And then eventually the next step for me as far as receiving information would be doing something that Daryl Anka does with Bashar, which is just a straight channel from an interdimensional being through me to the rest of society. But that's not going to be for a little bit, because some people get freaked out, And I'm supposed to be as unintimidating as possible. That's part of my mission, is to come across as this little 5'0", girl who has a lot of information to give the rest of the world. So.
And where did you get your regression done?
Yeah, that's actually funny. My dad actually gave me my first ever past life regression when I was 16. And he put himself through engineering university with past life regression. So even though he raised me Catholic and that's kind of the belief system when we were younger, he was very open and he did a lot of healing and energy work and these past life regressions, which really helped me open up. And then at a certain point, I kind of surpassed his knowledge and then I started opening him up. So it's been this really nice back and forth with me and my dad.
Wow, that's so cool. I asked that question, and then just 1 second later, Eric posted in the chat room who did her first regression. So there's some synchronicity right there.
Very cool.
Yeah, he probably thought I read his question, but I didn't. I thought of it. I thought of it myself, and then I looked up, and there was the same question posted right there.
Elizabeth, did you ever have like a normal life in the past, or have you always been like a leader? I mean, did you ever have just a past life that was a normal life?
Yes, I have had many lifetimes where I was suffering. That's what you could call it. And in a lot of these lifetimes where I was also a leader, I have also suffered because I've sacrificed myself. And that's really the word here. And the other word that really comes to mind is martyr. I've martyred myself to death for other people. I have given so much of myself in so many past lifetimes that I've actually died early. And I remember when I was younger, maybe like 6 years old to 10 years old, I would tell my mom and tell my dad, I said, you know, I'm not going to live very long. Like, I'm not going to make it past 20. And they're like, what? Are you suicidal? Like, what's going on here? And I said, I just have this feeling. I just have this knowing that I'm not going to make it in this lifetime. And then when I went to my the first time I ever went to a psychic, you know, I was 12 years old and I asked this question. I said, why do I feel this way? And she told me that in lifetime after lifetime, I've given so much of myself that I've died early. And it's just an innate feeling within me that feels like I'm just not going to make it. And she said, in this lifetime, I'm meant to live a long life. And she said, I'm actually meant to unlock the ability to live past the normal existence of a human right now. And it's so interesting because that was when I was 12 that I got that information. And she also said that I was going to be touring the world and doing public speaking with many books and things like that, which I'm well on the way to doing. But I'm really starting to unlock the DNA and etheric codes within my soul's body, you could call it, or the energetic etheric body within me that will allow me to perpetuate my energy, to stop aging altogether so that I can perpetuate my human existence as long as possible. Now, this is only possible if I learn how to, create the balance between service to others and service to self, because right now I'm way too much service to others. I drain myself out. But once I maintain that balance between giving to others and giving back to myself, I will be able to perpetuate my physical DNA so that I can live, a lifetime of potentially 150 years, right? And this is just naturally where the evolution of humanity is going.
It sounds like in your past lives you burned yourself out every time. It almost sounds like Christ dying early,
Yeah,
for others.
You know what though? Like this is not a unique story. There are many, you could call them light workers or conscious individuals or other hybrids, whatever you want to label them as. They are individuals with higher vibrational frequencies who they themselves have gone through this lesson of sacrificing themselves for other people time and time again. And the reason being is because there has been an imbalanced ratio of individuals on this planet who are service to self. So far more individuals who are service to self compared to far less individuals who are service to others. And that way the whole scale of this planet has been imbalanced, and the whole scale of this planet has been very masculine dominated, right? And now we're really actually transitioning over to a much more female, feminine dominant, empathic, intuitive, sensitive, emotional, compassionate society where we're all connected to each other and we're all connected to nature. And through that connection, once again, we can perpetuate the human life and human existence. So I love spirituality because all of these concepts that are seemingly so separated can actually all come together and just make sense in this bigger picture.
Well, I was wondering if you could... Oh, go ahead, Wolfman.
It hasn't always been male-dominated. Like, there was a time before that it was mostly female-dominated religions, and it was all...
There was one society that was dominated by females.
Yep, absolutely. And now we're going into a much more harmonized balance of what's going on, which is really like the equilibrium of this planet is the masculine feminine balance, which is also, the light dark balance.
Sounds good to me.
Did you happen to hear the spontaneous guest that we had on Friday, Bruce May?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, wow. That was a doozy. He claims to...
no comment.
He claims to be a Nephilim.
Okay. And then what was it like? What was the conversation?
He said he was born with pointy ears, and he has memories because he was cloned. He still has the memories from his past lives.
Okay, yeah.
And
he said he lived on Mars.
It wasn't a reincarnation, he said, because it was a cloning. It's hard to explain, but he says he's a different spirit, but he has the memories of his past lives from that cloned body.
He said that the Greys were bad.
Yes.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of different layers to every single species. The species of the Greys is very diverse because there are many different parallel version of the Greys. So there are absolutely Greys who are quite negative, really negative. I haven't encountered any, but there are many out there who are negative. But the ones that I'm a part of are more so here for the awakening of this planet. So as in any species, there is the light and the dark. There is the positive and the negative. And we just can't assume that one species has all negative or all positive beings to it. Just like humanity, just like humans. We're not all good and we're definitely not all bad.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, going back to the past life regressions, I love specifics. I was wondering if you could just tell us about one of the lives in detail.
Okay, cool. Yes, I absolutely can. So, there's so many lifetimes, but one of my favorite lifetimes, and definitely the most impactful, was the location was kind of like ancient Aztec, like Mayan kind of times. And I was a little boy in a little village, and there was these men who had very fancy kind of robes on, and they were going around to each house in the village that I was in. And I think I was about 5 or 6 at this time. And so they came over to our house, and they brought out a series of, you could call them toys,